Hey, what's up guys, Adam here, giving you guys episode 5 of the Budget Video Tips series. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at video editing software. So in the last few episodes now, I've kind of taken a look at how to actually shoot video and actually being able to understand the principle of shooting high quality video. So I thought I'd go ahead and talk to you guys about 4 different types of video editing software you can go ahead and use to compile all of your footage. So the first piece of editing software is going to be Sony Vegas. Now I've used Sony Vegas now for a little over 4 years and it's a fantastic piece of editing software to use. I started off using Sony Movie Studio Pro, which is kind of the smaller brother to Vegas, and then I actually upgraded to go ahead and get Sony Vegas. But the actual layout between those two pieces of software is fairly similar, apart from that Sony Vegas gives you a few more features and a few more functions as in comparison to Sony Movie Studio. But the whole interface of and the whole actual GUI of Sony Vegas is a fantastic piece of editing software, mainly because everything where you would expect it to be is actually where it should be, as opposed to you having to go ahead and search for your effects, having to search for your tools. Everything you need to go ahead and get started to go ahead and edit video is going to be pretty much right in front of you as soon as you go ahead and open the program. It has a very shallow learning curve, so anyone who's just going to be starting out with video will actually really enjoy using Sony Vegas due to its really friendly interface. So the next piece of editing stuff I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about is going to be Adobe Premiere Pro. Now Premiere Pro is an industry standard. It's mainly used by a lot of feature filmmakers, a lot of cinematographers and filmmakers. It is a high-end piece of video editing software, not really recommended for people who are just starting out on video production, but mainly used for more of the intermediate audience. But it's a really high-end and great video editing software to go ahead and use. It has a ton, a wide range of different plugins to go ahead and use. It has so many different features built into the actual program itself. And the good thing about Premiere Pro is that it works well with other programs on the Adobe suite. So it works well with things like Photoshop and After Effects and Audition, mainly because the layout across all of those programs tends to be fairly similar. So the way layers work across Photoshop and After Effects tends to be similar to the way the layers work in Premiere Pro. And the whole layout when it comes to all sorts of features and all sorts of titles, it again works very similar across all of the Adobe suite, including Premiere Pro in itself. So a lot of people tend to use After Effects and tend to use Photoshop more often, mainly geared back to using Premiere Pro as their main video editing suite, as opposed to looking for other programs out there because they're so used to the way that the Adobe layout is actually laid out across all of its software. So the next 2 pieces of software I'm going to go ahead and talk about, number 3 and 4, are mainly geared to Apple users, so exclusive to Apple users. The first one is going to be Final Cut Pro. Now I've been using Final Cut Pro for just over a month now. It's a fantastic piece of editing software. I kind of put it in the same boat as Sony Vegas, but it has even more features than Sony Vegas. But in terms of how the usability is in the GUI when it comes to video editing, it is very similar to the layout of that of Sony Vegas. Again, it has a very shallow learning curve, so it's not going to be too difficult for someone who is just starting out on video to go ahead and start editing video in Final Cut. It is just a really great program to have. It has a ton of plugins built in. So you don't have to go ahead and search for a whole heap of plugins. Quite a few of them are actually built in. I've actually used quite a few of them for this series, for example. For the lower thirds, for example, I've actually got some of those lower thirds plugins built into Final Cut Pro. That is a really good advantage for me when it comes to shooting video and actually editing video. So Final Cut Pro, I'm actually really enjoying it so far. And it's been my daily editing software for just before Christmas actually. So I'm actually really enjoying that piece of software for myself. Now the actual 4th piece of editing software I'm going to go and talk to you guys about is going to be the little brother to Final Cut Pro, and that's going to be iMovie. Now iMovie comes built into the actual OS X platform. So if you buy yourself a laptop from Apple or a computer from Apple, it's going to come built into the OS X platform, and you're going to have iMovie built in there for free. Now it's not quite as advanced as Final Cut Pro. You're not going to get all the features in Final Cut Pro, but I don't really want to actually say this, but it's kind of going to be similar to how you get Windows Live Movie Maker, but 10 times better than Windows Live Movie Maker. But it's going to be kind of how you get Windows Live Movie Maker built into the Windows platform, and you can go ahead and start editing their video for free without having to go ahead and buy the software. So that's going to be a huge advantage if you're going to be on the Apple side and you want to go ahead and start editing your footage. So a lot of people always ask the question, okay, what is the right type of editing software to use? Which one do I need to go ahead and get my hands on? And the answer to that question is pretty much there is no answer to which is the right editing software to go ahead and use. It's pretty much which one you are happy using. Now, I always say it's better to learn the actual principle of video editing rather than trying to learn a particular skill in one particular editing program. It's better to learn the overarching skill of video editing. Now, I always say once you got the core knowledge of video editing, you can pretty much switch from different editing softwares, give or take a few change over time, but you can pretty much switch from software to software without any problems. Once you go ahead and understand the principles of video editing, you can go ahead and switch from software to software without any issue. So while I do have Final Cut Pro as my go-to video editing software now, I can pretty much go ahead and switch back to Premiere if I wanted to. I can go ahead and switch to Sony Vegas if I wanted to, because I actually understand the actual principles and intermediate level when it comes to video editing. So I can go ahead and switch between different softwares without there being too much change over time. Mainly I can go ahead and sometimes try and refresh myself over the tools and techniques, but mainly the actual core principles are actually embedded into my mind when it comes to video editing software. And anyway guys, that's pretty much been the end of episode 5. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Anyway guys, it's been Adam here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and of course I'll see you guys in the next tech video. Bye for now.